Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and since it's Women's History Month, I'm here today to talk to you about Mistresses, Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot. Mistresses was a really good show on ABC. It lasted for 4 seasons, but it was supposed to last for 5. The show was extremely good in the first 2 seasons. Then things changed in the third, and I don't like the third and the fourth, and neither did the rest of the audience, to where it never got its 5th season. Now, this show is based off of an Australian show that I've never seen before. I've always wanted to see it, but never have. And so, I think it might be on YouTube. I need to check it out one day because I'm curious to see how different it is from the American version. But Mistresses is a very steamy, erotic type show that deals with a bunch of women who are either single or married and are very devious, I guess you could say. Except for one. April's the only goody two shoes of the group. And so what is it? This show stars a lot of people. Some people you might know, some people you might not. Alyssa Milano, she plays Savannah, aka Savvy, and she is a married woman whose marriage is on the rocks and she has an affair. It also stars that Rochelle Atara, something like that, who plays April. What's interesting about that is that Lifetime was going to make their own Mistresses show, and she also was in that. But it also starred 3 other women. Holly Marie Combs from Charm, Alyssa Milano's co-star, was going to star in that version. There isn't a pilot for that. It was filmed, but it's an unaired pilot, and Rochelle doesn't know where it's at. But there are clips of it on YouTube, only brief clips though. It also stars that of Jess McCallahan, and she plays Jocelyn, and she was on Legends of Tomorrow. She is the tallest of the group, very leggy. And it also stars that of Youngjin Kim, who plays Karen. And she is the one you just want to give the biggest hug to. And because she just keeps messing up her life with her sex positive lifestyle. Oh, and so also April, she is the single mother of a widow, and she just have a hard time finding boyfriends and stuff. But she's the goody two shoes of the group. Jocelyn is the hoe of the group. Plain and simple. But then they changed her character around in season 3, and that was really ruined her and stuff. And so I'll get into stuff like that more later on. And so this isn't a rundown review, just the first episode. And I think his name is Brett Tucker, I believe. He plays Harry. And Harry is the husband of that Savvy. And then you have that, I believe his name is Jason George. He plays Dominic, and he was only in the first 2 seasons. He was only a guest in season 3 and 4. He is the side piece of Savvy and everything, which causes her to have an affair. And so I watched this show because I was looking for a Desperate Housewives filler. Desperate Housewives have been off the air for a good while, and they tried to replace it with other shows that only lasted a season. Pan Am only lasted for 1 season in 2011. GCB, Good Christian Bellas, only lasted for 1 season in 2012, but this show came out in 2013. Now in 2010, Pretty Little Liars came out, and that was the Desperate Housewives filler. But the problem with that is ABC didn't really probably have that much faith in it, so they put it on their sister network of ABC Family, and it turned out to be a juggernaut of a show. So they was desperately looking for something to fill that void, and they found Mistresses. Now, the first 2 seasons is filmed in America. And what got me in the show is that I was looking for a Desperate Housewives filler, and Alyssa Milano, who I'm a huge fan of, is in this show. Sadly, however, at the end of season 2, she left because in season 2, she got pregnant, and the production went to Canada in season 3, and she didn't want to leave her family behind. I totally understand that. But with that huge monkey wrench thrown in, that caused problems for me in season 3. With her being gone, I knew she was gone and never coming back, but they kept trying to make it like she would, and they constantly kept bringing up her name. They turned Josh, who was the slutty whore of the group, into the more mature one and the more sensible one. That ruined her character. And so also I'm going to spoil some stuff right here right now, because I don't know when I'm going to do a full review on the show. Eventually she dates another dude, but then she has feelings for that of Harry. She started dating a new dude in season 2, had feelings for Harry in season 2. Then Savannah caught them kissing and stuff, and then season 3 that would cause Savvy to leave, and so then her and Harry start a relationship, and that was just so weird because she is the sister-in-law, and he could not stand her in the beginning. And so it's weird trying to make the wild party child into the sensible one. And so they kept bringing in 2 new ladies to fill the void in season 3, and then in season 4, Jennifer, I forget her last name. It's something. She was brought in season 3, and I did not like the character she played. Her and Josh's character was just kind of all over the place. And the storyline was pretty good, but it was just kind of crazy. Karen goes through a lot of crazy stuff. And then they brought in Tambra in from season 4, who is supposed to be Harry's sister. And I didn't like how they wrote her character either, trying to make her a wedge between, her, Harry, and Josh and stuff. And it's just, they kept coming up with one crazy storyline after another in season 3 and season 4, killing off one of the main characters in season 4. And so it's kind of there was no way they were going to get a season 5, because the one who died, she wanted to leave the show, because it just wasn't the same no more. And I'm not blaming Alyssa, because I understand why she left, but the show crumbled once she left, because she was the main star attraction of the show. The show revolved mainly around her character. It revolves around all the characters, but mainly hers. Hers was the central focal point of the entire series. But I don't think it was supposed to. In the Australian show, it revolves around Karen's character, I believe. But they changed it up because the actress who plays Karen is not that well known. And so, so they went with Alyssa Milano's character. This show was steamy, it was spicy, it was scandalous. The opening of the scene shows even Josh making out with her boss, doing it and stuff up against the wall. That is how stimulating this show is. They were really trying to fill that void of Desperate Housewives. And so all the women are close friends with one another, and they constantly interact and hang out and try to help each other with their situations. So let's start to get into the individual story arcs that's in this first episode. Let's start with the main woman who got me into this show, Savvy, played by Alyssa Milano. Savvy is a married woman whose marriage is starting to fall on the rocks. We first see her go to this type of resort type restaurant, hotel type place, and she meets a man, and we don't know that they're married just yet. And so they're role playing and everything. And she's all why aren't you wearing your wedding ring? Put it on and all this. So then they go in the hotel room and they start doing it. But then the comedic part starts to happen where they couldn't figure out who wants to be on top. So then they realize this just isn't going to work. They're trying to find that spark in their marriage and hoping role playing would help, but it doesn't. So at some point, and they've been married for a good long time. He is Australian, which is funny because the show supposed to be based in Australia in the original series. So they go to like, the doctor to check on like, the prognosis of them trying to get pregnant. They want to have a child. Harry really wants to have a child. And so, but it turns out there's something wrong with his sperm that's going to prevent him from making babies and stuff. Apparently, the doctor said, a sperm's supposed to have the head and the tail. Yours don't have that. And so this really upsets Harry. He feels he's inadequate. He feels like he's not a man. He feels like, why is he being punished for this? But then he takes all of his anger out on Savvy, because he literally tells her like, because she tries to spice things up once again at his work job, but that doesn't work. I'll get into that a little bit later. But basically he blows up at her at one point and he's all like, oh, I bet you love this and everything. Like, you don't have to get like big and pregnant at your lawyer job. Nobody has to like look at you and blah, 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 blah. And so he's just taking all of his rage out on her for no reason. And this is something he does like a lot throughout the series. He's a good guy, don't get me wrong, but he does take his anger out on places he doesn't need to. Savvy, feeling unwanted and everything, is really upset by this. She's upset she can't have a baby. She's upset that the spark is falling out of their marriage, and she's upset that her husband's taking so much crap out of her. Well, when she's at her lawyer job and everything, her colleague named Dominic, he notices that like her stocking is showing, and it's kind of lingerie kind where you have like a strap, and so he lets her know that, so she fixes her skirt. But Dominic is too into her. Dominic is the one who ruins their marriage by constantly pursuing Savvy and everything. So throughout the pilot, when they're back in their office, he's all like, I want to see it again. And so like, in this really smooth, debonair, like cool kind of way. And so her feeling unwanted by her husband and everything, and not getting what she wanted out of her husband, and also wanting to feel appreciated, she decides, you get a couple of seconds and that's it. And she counts them down as she's like showing him and stuff. And so this turns her on to where she goes to Harry's job. She shows him her bra and she's all like, let's do it in the back. And he's all like, no, I'm too upset by what the doctor said about my sperm. And so she didn't even consider his feelings about that. She just wanted her own needs sewn and everything, not realizing that this really upset her husband, knowing that his sperm is defective and stuff. So, when she is back in her office and everything, Dominic is putting the moves on her once again. This is what persuades her to have a full-on affair where she can't resist herself no more, because the thing is, she's a woman who works hard, she looks great, and she just wants to feel seen. And this is what caused so many married women to want to cheat on their husband. And it's so wrong. So of course, they start making out and everything, and they have a full-on like affair. This what literally breaks them up. Now, I don't know whenever I'll do like a full review, like I said, because this is on Hulu and I don't have Hulu at the moment. So I'll literally just say they break up, and her and Harry, and then she starts dating Dominic and everything, like dating him in season 2. And so then things get worse because he is now pursued by a woman at work who he has an affair with. And she's starting to spend more time with this dude that she got into a car wreck with. And so that breaks her and Dominic up. And then, of course, the whole Harry and Josh thing. And then she leaves in season 3. Because she leaves, they wrote the character of Dominic off in season 3, where he just makes 2 or 3 guest appearances, and that's about it. This show got so ruined in season 3. Let's get into her sister, Jocelyn and everything. Josh has no boundaries. Josh is this extremely good-looking, long-legged woman who is a realtor, and she's sleeping with her boss, and he's a married man. She has no shame, and her boss wants to give her perks and everything, and gives her this one place that she's trying to sell, a gorgeous beach-like house and everything. For whatever reason, she doesn't take it. Now, she has to find a place to stay, and it's weird. She's a realtor who can't find a place to stay. She moves in with Savvy and that of Harry, to much of Harry's dismay. Her and Savannah can't get along. Savannah is the more mature one and the sensible one and the mother figure, whereas Josh is just like a wild child. And so, like, Josh is trying to sell a home to this one lesbian couple. And so the one lady, she cannot, for the love of her, decide on what she wants. And so like this later on, her and the other lady start to like bond. I forget the other lady's name. I really, really, really forgot her name. But like basically later on in the season, here's the spoiler part, those two start to date. This is Josh's first lesbian experience, but she's just experimenting while she's still messing around with men. This causes a huge rift between those two, to where she's all like, if you ain't gonna take this serious, I don't want to be with you. And then that character is completely written off the series, and Josh is like all upset. So like, no, I really want to do this and everything, but she doesn't really like being a lesbian. She's just doing it for like kicks and giggles and stuff like that, because she later on keeps ending up with men later on down the series run. April is the goody two shoes of the group. She works at a boutique shop and she's constantly trying to date men. It's hard because she is a widow and she has a daughter named Lucy. And so men are constantly hitting on her, like this one dude who's hitting on her in a really gross kind of way. Her app starts to ring in a very moany kind of way because Josh, who's her best friend, downloaded this like, you know, Tinder type app on her phone that's just for people who want the clickety clack. And so like, the thing about April in the pilot is she's getting all of these mysterious phone calls. Somebody keeps calling and won't say nothing. This is really creeping her out. And for whatever reason, she thinks it's her dead husband, Paul. So Savvy, being a lawyer, has a PI. They track the phone calls to a hotel to a woman named Miranda. And so Miranda's all like, oh, it's probably just my son making prank calls. I'll get on to him and stuff like that. Well, Lucy has a birthday. We don't get to see Lucy in this episode. We will in the other ones. And so something happens to where April's date gets interrupted by another phone call. And so she's unable to go to there because there's a new guy hitting on her. So then she meets the guy at the boutique store and they're arranging to go on a date. Well, April is at her home and that Miranda lady shows up and she's all like, I lied. I know who you are. I've been living in town in a hotel for the longest time, trying to work up the courage to tell you that your dead husband was my lover and we were in love and we have a love child. And here's this little biracial white black boy. April's all like, oh no, I know my husband and stuff. Like he would never do this. So she is taken back by this. There's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on between the whole Miranda, April, and Paul thing. Spoiler alert, Paul is actually alive who faked his death. And he's been hiding out because he made a bad business deal and the mob is after him. Only for him to really die in season 2. That part wasn't written very well. And then we get to Karen, who has this goody exterior about her, but is really like makes every bad decision when it comes to her love life. Oh boy. Okay, she is a psychiatrist and everything, and her patient, Tom, she had an affair with back in the day, and it lasted for a real long time to where he fell in love with her, neglecting his family and stuff. 6 weeks later, Tom died of an illness. Now, Karen was prescribing him medication she had no business giving to him. And so, like, Karen is really close with Tom's wife, Elizabeth, and Elizabeth asks to go to the funeral. She meets their son, Sam, and Sam is this very awkward, really depressed guy who's upset about his father. And so then it turns out Sam starts to become a bit obsessed with that of Karen, to a part where he's constantly visiting her at her clinic and everything. And she doesn't want nothing to do with him because she don't want him to find out about the affair. But he knows about the affair. He gives her a love letter that whoever this woman was that sent her father. And then he realizes, he comes to her again because he's always following her. He even came to her house one time. She didn't answer the door. She just looked at him on his surveillance cameras and stuff. And so one day he's all like, I know it was you who had the affair with my father. But then he doesn't seem mad at her. He's just still upset with like his father and everything, the passing. Even to the point where he gives her a big passionate hug. Then he starts setting up appointments with that of Karen. And Karen's all like, I don't feel comfortable, counseling you and everything. I can recommend you to somebody else. But this man will not take no for an answer and keeps intruding on her life. And so then he gives her flowers. He is falling in love with his dad's mistress and everything. While all this is going on, the mother has no idea about Karen and the affair. And so, but she is suing the company because they found a large amount of drugs in his system that Karen prescribed to him. After having a phone call with Savvy, because Savvy's law firm is going to take up her case, Karen starts shredding all the evidence that she has on Tom. All the appointments, all the written stuff, all the notes. And she's deleting every file she can, making it seem like she has nothing to do with Tom. Spoiler alert, at some point in time, the son becomes too obsessed and the mom does find out. And they pull guns on each other while Karen's there. And then one of them ends up getting shot. She ends up having an affair with a married couple, kind of like a couples kind of thing. So she's like, the third woman, like the girlfriend. End up getting pregnant, end up catching an STD, end up taking a foreign girl in. She goes through the ringer. Then she gets like this nanny to watch her kid, and like the nanny is like a stalker obsessed lady who ends up killing her and all this other. This show is crazy. So this show is like really crazy, really wild, and very unpredictable. And that's what I love about it. Its wildness is like its untameness and its unpredictability. You assume a storyline is going to go in one direction and it goes in the complete different and everything. And that's what's really cool about this show. But it caused critics to not like it. They want predictability. But this is so weird. People's all like, they don't want predictability, but then they do. So what do people really want? People don't know what they want. That's the thing. And so it is on Hulu. It's not on DVD for some bizarre reason. And I don't know why. It's a really good series and stuff. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.